and it doesn't disappear with everyone commenting. So we have Will with us for hidden cost visible savings coming up next, and then we have one more CE after that. So make sure you stick with us. Some people manage companies, others solve mysteries. For the past 7 years, Will has been doing both as the general manager of Aqua Leak Detection. His work centers around uncovering one of the most expensive and overlooked problems in Florida communities, pool leaks hiding underneath the surface. Will's path to this role is anything but typical. From student ministry to whale watching, his diverse experiences shaped a leadership style grounded in curiosity, communication, and problem solving. Those skills now help him guide communities towards smarter pool maintenance decisions and long-term cost savings. At home, Will and his wife Becky are raising four adventurous kids, which means life stays busy and full of energy. When he finds a free moment, you'll likely find him near the water or sampling a new seafood dish. See, earlier today, he was already saying he was trying to cut out and get to the water. Today, he'll share practical insights in his presentation, Hidden Cost Visible Savings, Why Leak Detection belongs in your pool budget. All right, Will. And then to schedule an on-site assessment of your association, you can always email Will, and we will share his information in the chat as well. But at the moment, we will turn it over to Will.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today. And I also just noticed I'm actually going to do a shout out right here. At 1:45, I may log back in to hear this. The owner of Azure is coming on after this. And I got to tell you guys, I've worked with Azure over the years. They are one of the best pool builders on the West Coast here. They are awesome. You guys are in for a treat with that guy. I'm excited for you guys to hear what he says. Um, but I may log back in because I love
Hey,
Eddie.
I think you should.
So, as we get started today, guys, I just wanted to introduce myself again. Will Diefenbach. I'm the GM and marketing manager for Aqua Leak Detection. I have had the great opportunity of working alongside pool services, construction, like pool construction, realtors, and CAMs just like you for the last 8 years. And I have the great opportunity to see the hidden cost of pool leaks that no one talks about and often doesn't budget for. And so today I want you guys to think of leak detection kind of like the mechanic for your car. We didn't build it, we didn't sell it to you, but we sure are here to fix things. And so leak detection, it's an important thing for the life of your pool. And I want to help you guys with some helpful tips and tricks and how to schedule that and make it part of your annual budget. So before we get started on that, I always like to play a little trivia. And if you've been here before, then you probably have already seen this. I'm going to open up the chat once again. Where'd that go? Can you turn the chat back on, Lindsay?
I can. Give me 1 second. Okay, it's on.
If you see the leak, throw in there and ignore the little yellow plug that's down here. This is not the leak. That is just the pipe and a plug. If you can see the leak in this photo, comment, got it, or I see it, or something. I'll give you guys. Missing screws. Not this time. Patricia's got it. I feel like I need to quiz you guys. How do I know that you truly got it? Let's see. I'm gonna rely on the honesty here. Ready? We're gonna zoom in just a little bit. How about now? Can you guys see the leak? Got it. It was my pool. This was a residential one. So Zach, if that was yours, you and I spent some good time together. So here it is, guys. Actually, just to the top right side of the pipe. And I'm going to go back one time. This screwdriver is actually in the hole, which is actually, if you guys can see my mouse, right here. And I show that to you guys. Ooh, so we have some honesty. Thank you, Garrett. Um, we have some honesty there. So one of the things the reason I like to show this is because even though we're staring right at a leak, these things blend in. They are hard to see from time to time. Sometimes what looks like any other pebble or stone is actually a hole. And I stared at this wall. I knew the leak was somewhere around this main drain. I could tell it was just by the symptoms this homeowner had shared. Um, but I'll be honest, I spent hours staring at this main drain before I finally was able to figure out that it's a missing pebble out in the middle of nowhere. So, for those thinking it was going to be closer to the main drain pipe, a lot of times, yes, you're right. Where plastic meets pool surface is oftentimes a leak. But again, that leak is actually right in this area. So, anyways, thought that was fun. And that's what it looks like once you actually open it up. It was a much larger leak than that little pinhole. So, as we dive into this, what does a leak really cost? What is the financial impact? Yeah, for those that didn't get to see it, if I wasn't on it long enough, leaks that start off small oftentimes open up into something very, very large. So, fortunately, able to fix this guy, get him out the door, all at the cost of the leak detection with no extra repair cost. So, great solutions there. Um, so what does a leak really cost? Hidden cost, how a small leak can cost you 10,000 plus that you didn't budget for. So here's what happens. Water bills will spike and increase every month that the leak gets ignored. Chemical usage increases and service costs go up. Pumps can run dry and eventually burn out, which leads to emergency repairs, which can cost thousands. And eventually, if the chemicals are way off, I don't know how many of you guys have ever been shut down because the chemicals were imbalanced, but if chemicals get off because we're adding so much fresh water to the pool because we're losing water, then the county can even step in and shut down the pool. And then that leads to extra inspections and all sorts of crazy things. Um, so there's a lot that can happen if we ignore leaks or we're not planning for them. And if we just kind of wait for nature to take its course, some of you guys have lived these nightmares. In fact, again, I love crowd participation, and I'm going to toss this out there. How many of you guys have had a leak detection in the last 2 to 3 years?
Oh, hold on. I might have accidentally shut you off. Okay, I'm
Oh,
leaving
don't
the
shut
chat
me
on.
off.
It's on.
Yeah, leave it on because I'm a yapper and I like to talk to people. So Valentine's Day, that sounds like a great Valentine's Day. Um, so yeah, I'm sure that some of the symptoms that you guys saw going into that, usually on a commercial pool, most people have an autofill. And so fortunately, this issue, the pumps running dry, is a little more rare on commercial pools than it is on residential pools. And the reason why is because we have an autofill. But the symptom that most commercial pools see is the water bill begins to increase, and then the next month it's higher, the next month it's higher, and the next month it's higher. And then all of a sudden, you have $1,000 plus water bill and your pool company is yelling at you because they're spending so much extra money in chemicals that they're back charging you for those. And so these are just some of the symptoms that we will see. But what does it really cause? Stress. I am sure that, especially for Miss Susan Hoffman here, having several leaks over the last few years, the stress that goes with it, right? You've got unplanned pool closures where the company has to come out, shut down the pool, and spend the entire day swimming in the pool. You've got angry guests, people who flew in from New Jersey, or especially the New Jersey. If you're from New Jersey, don't judge me, but those guys got attitude. They've got some spunk. And when they're upset, they love to make it known. And so angry guests, upset residents, and a lot of pointing the fingers at you. Hey, you're the property manager. Why is the pool closed? Why aren't you making sure that the pool service is keeping up with the chemicals? Hey, why is our expenses increasing every single month? And so much of that stress falls back on you. And it's a great idea to put it back onto the association and just simply say, hey, listen, if we had budgeted a leak detection, we wouldn't be fighting for unplanned pool closures. We wouldn't be spending on extra equipment that burned up, and we wouldn't be adding a ton of water because we would have stayed on top of it. So take a little bit of stress off of yourselves, help bring it back to the association with better planning, better prep, and make sure that pool is taken care of. A lot of people ask how are those leaks detected? That first couple of pictures we saw with the little pinhole, that's what we do when we do this. We structure and dye test, right? We get in the water, we check everything from the tile line down to the main drain, and it literally looks like this, especially in the winter. We get in with wetsuits, hooded vest, weight belts, and we just start swimming around until we find everything wrong with these pools. While we're in there, we're also testing all of the plumbing, making sure that the main drains, the pool returns, the scum gutters, the vac lines, those kind of things don't have leaks in the plumbing. And the way that we do that is actually very simple. It's plug off all the piping, apply air pressure. Some people will use a nitrogen gas or helium gas um, because it makes some different sounds when it squirts out of the leak. But when air and water mix, they begin to gurgle, they begin to make a lot of noise under the deck or behind the pool wall. And from there, we have the opportunity to bust out the electronic microphones, start listening to the deck, either on the deck or through the wall. And you can actually pinpoint exactly where that leak is without ever having to tear open the deck and or dig down in the dirt. You can know where it is and do a precise incision where that plumbing leak may be. So, um, to set people's minds at ease, a lot of times I think people think of pool leaks. We get a lot of calls where people are terrified that they've got a pool leak, the pool is going to wash out, uh, the deck is going to have to be torn up, we're going to have to repipe everything. The beauty of leak detection is actually most leaks end up being in the pool surface, and those that aren't, we pinpoint precisely so that we don't have to tear open your pool deck in a huge way. There's always opening up the pool deck for small repairs, but we're not tearing out the whole deck and we're not repiping. We often say we don't even own a backhoe, which is awesome because it means that our repairs aren't that big. So that's how leaks are detected. Again, technology versus visual inspections. We can do a couple of different things. The visual inspection is always going to take place because you got to find the leaks in the pool surface. But microphones help us find those leaks that are located deep underground. We've also got cameras with tracers on them. I'm sure you guys have had plumbing leaks in the actual slab of your sewage lines and that kind of stuff. But we've got cameras that can run up the pipes, and we can actually track exactly where those go underground. And so even though we can't see the leak, or maybe we can see it in the camera, we can find out exactly where it's at. So what does a leak look like? Some of the things that we often find, somebody earlier said a bolt hole for the main drain. And that is exactly what this leak right here is. So some leaks, very obvious, right? You look down, you see the cracked plastic, you know this thing is cracked. This is your skimmer, and this skimmer is going to have to be replaced because that plastic will just keep on cracking. However, sometimes a leak that's not supposed to be there is little things like this. And the bolt hole that holds the light in place on light niches sometimes will get a leak. And even though it looks like it's supposed to be there, unfortunately, it becomes a leak. Sometimes leaks in the pool are not actually in the pool, but they're above the pool. And so, what you guys see in this photo, I always like to give examples because you never know where you're going to find a leak, right? And so, what you guys are seeing in this photo is this is a little basin that fills up and flows over this wall and then back down into the pool. But way up here is a crack in the tile line. And as this basin fills up, the pump has enough pressure that it literally fills right to this tile line, which happens to be where the pool cracked. And so when the pump runs, they're losing water all day long. So sometimes the leak in the pool isn't in the pool, and sometimes they're under the pool. This one was not fun. This was a leak in a floor return line that this was a very large commercial pool, and all of this water that you're seeing, this thing is on the beach, and water was just flowing up from the ground. And we had, I think, three or four pumps at one point trying to pump all the groundwater out of this thing. But never know where you're going to find a leak. Again, back to that concept of repairs don't necessarily mean tearing out the entire pool or repiping anything. I always like to give people a better image for when leaks are found. The good news is most repairs can be done in a small opening in the deck. So if it's just a simple return line leak or something like that, a lot of times a 10-inch by 10-inch or 12-inch by 12-inch opening is more than enough to do the repair. And if it's something like that skimmer replacement we were talking about earlier, it gets a little bigger, but again, not crazy invasive. So rest assured, your pool does not have to be completely torn out. Um, so how do we budget for prevention versus reaction? Well, you can have the same leak that has two very different outcomes, right? A planned leak inspection is going to cost you anywhere from $400 up to about $2,000. You get to choose the day that we come out. So if you know that you've got off-season, non-peak season, we can shut down the pool on a day that works best for you guys. And hopefully, if a leak is caught early, it won't get worse and you won't have the emergency repairs that can happen. So planned, maybe you're looking at 400 to 2000. But an emergency repair, number one, you've already been watching that water bill climb month over month over month. And actually, I'm going to go back to the chat. I need to take note of this. What is what is a typical water bill for a commercial pool or building? I don't know if they're actually separated for you guys. Does anybody know? 650. Is that for just the pool or is that for the whole association? Just for the pool. Okay. And so if you guys are already spending 650 or maybe even up to $1,000 a month for water, which you guys are always going to lose on a commercial pool because people are in and out of the pool regularly, right? So you got a lot of splash out. But if you guys know that you're spending 600 to $1,000 and all of a sudden that bill becomes 1,200, 1,400, 2,000 because the leak gets bigger and bigger, by the time you actually catch this thing, because we're reacting, sometimes you've spent more than the actual cost of a leak detection because we waited. On top of that, you do run the risk of the extra chemicals, the burnt up equipment, and again, the angry guest and homeowners there. So you can have the exact same leak solved for 2000 or less, or potentially risk that emergency repair. And I think that's probably one of the biggest selling points to making sure leak detection is in your budget each year or at least every other year to make sure somebody comes out and checks it. We just got a call, another short story. We just got a call, and if this was your pool, I would love to hear the reaction from the residents if you happen to be in this chat. There was a pool, I think it was down in Bonita or Naples. We just got a call the other day. Um, Apparently, the vac pack, there's like a little gravity fed tank that all the water flows back into so you don't have direct suction on the pool. The entire fiberglass tank imploded and they lost 40,000 gallons in a matter of hours out of this pool. And I can't imagine just walking outside, the pool is good, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. And so if that was your pool, I'd love to talk to you. I know that it's resolved at this point, but um, again, I wonder how long that little fiberglass tank had been having a small leak, and just got worse and worse, deteriorating until all of a sudden it became a disaster, which led to a massive excavation. I know that the uh, gravity pit was rebuilt out of concrete. Hopefully, will hold up a whole lot better than the fiberglass. But again, keeping this in mind, that's probably the biggest sell to the board. is let's plan for this stuff so that it doesn't cost us more in the long run. Another thing we can do is we can align preventative maintenance with your budget cycles. So leaks tend to appear most often in the fall. Typically, right as that first cold snap comes in, you have the expansion and contraction of PVC with the cold and the hot. And so they show up around fall, they go unnoticed until winter, and then come January, February, March, which is also peak season, those leaks are bad enough that people really begin to notice them. And so if you plan for a leak detection in late summer or early fall, as all the snowbirds are gone, hopefully we can catch the leak early, prevent it from getting worse throughout the year, avoid those last minute unplanned pool closures. So what's the ROI of an early leak detection to the board? Again, that same statement from earlier, right? That the $2,000, $400 for a leak detection, whatever that cost is for you guys based on the size of your pool, today can save you hundreds in water use, thousands in equipment, and because the chemicals remain balanced, hopefully extend the life of your pool. Um, Back to the chat, how many of you guys have had a renovation? And if you're willing to share, how much did the renovation set your HOA back? Anybody? Tremendously. It's probably about the right answer. So a lot of times the a pool renovation on a commercial pool is anywhere from 50,000 to 100 plus thousand. Now we don't do renovations, so don't quote me on that. Eddie does renovations. You guys will get to talk to him later from Azure. Um, but these renovations can be extremely expensive. The hope of a pool's shelf life, right? The surface that goes in, the hope is anywhere from 10 to 20 years. And the better balanced your pool is, the longer that pool is going to last. And so if it's 35,000, 65,000, I think I saw some bigger numbers in there as well. Um, if it's a large portion of money, you want that pool to last as long as possible. 135,000, you've probably got a very large pool. Um, but you want that thing to last as long as possible. So maintaining chemicals is important. But the problem is if the pool is losing water, thousands of gallons, hundreds of gallons every single day, well, now you're pumping in uh, new water that's not treated, that's not balanced, and it begins to suck the life out of your pool. And so if you've got to drop 135,000 on a pool renovation, you want that pool to last as long as possible. So the ROI, you may not see it up front, but in the long term, if it saves you from having to replaster sooner, the ROI for sure is there. So, what is the seasonal inspection for scheduling? So, we always recommend biannual inspections. Late spring, snowbirds are starting to flock north, life's starting to slow down around the campus. Um, it's a great time to get in there, do a leak detection, or mid-fall, just before the big cold snaps come in. All the snowbirds are coming back into town, um, and we can get out there, do the leak detection just prior to that, and make sure that leaks are caught. Usually, there's some great indications for where leaks are before they begin to get really bad. So, making sure that we plan it around you guys' schedule in a way that works. Coordinating with pool vendors and landscapers. Again, back to what we use when we're doing leak detection, right? We need to be out there. The pool's got to be filled up. Um, but we also use sound. And what happens sometimes is everybody wants to get all the work for the campus done on the exact same day. And so we'll be out there trying to locate a leak, but I've got mowers running around in the background and it makes pinpointing very difficult. So we always want to coordinate with you guys, make sure that we're probably the only company on site at the time, or the leak detection company is the only people on site at the time, so that we can actually hear. So we want to work around the landscapers, construction crews, all that kind of stuff. You can hear airplanes with our microphones, cars driving by, and battling the noise of those mowers or jackhammers or cars makes it very difficult. Even wind noise can make it very difficult to pinpoint. So need to schedule around them as well as pool vendors. We want to make sure that the pool is clean and clear, but at the same time, we also don't want to come out right after they dump a ton of acid in the pool because we do have to swim and our skin begins to burn with acid. So never fun to come right after the pool guy shows up. But coordinating with them, making sure that it is clean, it is clear, and we're ready to go. So not seasonal, but scheduled. If you're getting ready to have a renovation on the pool, we always want to ensure that the weak points are found prior to that renovation. So it's just something else to keep in mind if you know you're getting ready for a renovation. We want to make sure that those leaks are found prior to the renovation so that when the renovation happens, if there is a plumbing leak under the deck, that can be done the same time as the renovation. So we're not chasing a leak after the renovation, or having to maybe even drain the pool and do repairs in the pool, which could scar the brand new surface. So keep that in mind. Again, that's not a seasonal thing, but it is a scheduled thing. So if you happen to have a renovation coming up, something to consider. So CAM advocacy, presenting leak detection in your workshops. Some of those strategies are during that budget planning, just add it into the budget as an annual or biannual inspection of the pool, helping with that argument of giving the argument of, it's the pool security. It's making sure that it's taken care of. It's making sure that the pool is going to last a long time. Speak confidently about the long-term savings that you're trying to provide to the community. Talk to them about the cost of pool pumps, chemicals, the water that they're going to save. And bottom line, they will save more in the long run by not allowing these leaks to get worse and cause major issues. And then if you've had a leak detection in the past and you've seen past repairs, we know that boards change, right? So they're not always caught up to speed. But if you have reports from the past, repairs from the past, or even renovation cost from the past, bring those to the table. Help them understand the big picture of what a pool costs. Just like a car. When you buy a car, you know you're going to have maintenance from oil changes to alternators to tires to batteries, you name it. In the same way, a pool comes with maintenance cost. Nobody likes to think about leak detection until the last minute, but if you share with them what previous leaks have cost, hopefully you can get the board on board for scheduling it or budgeting for a leak detection. So in summary, the benefits of a proactive leak detection are going to be cost savings, increasing the life expectancy of your pool, saving your equipment from failure, avoiding unplanned downtime for the pool, and hopefully a whole lot less stress for you. Any questions? Or should we go into the quiz first?
Maybe let's see. Yep, there are questions. Hold on, let me see.
All right.
Um, oh gosh, hold on.
While
They're
you
not
gather those, I
questions,
can
the
get
right questions. So let's do the questions on the
the
quiz
quiz.
first, and then we'll go back to these.
You got it. All right. It's quiz time, guys. So you're going to go ahead and throw your answers into the chat. Make sure we were all paying attention. What utility cost is most directly impacted by a pool leak? Water, gas, electricity, or cable? H2O. I like that one. Yes. A, water. Which of the following is a common leak detection method? A chemical test, a pressure test, a brush test, or a pump flush? I think just about everybody's got that one. B, pressure test. That is when we mix air and water in the plumbing to find plumbing leaks. When is the best time to schedule a leak inspection? During the winter holidays, before hurricane season and after summer, or every month, or randomly? B, before hurricane season or and after summer, before we get into those cold snaps and you start to lose a ton of water. Question four, which item increases strain due to a pool leak? The pool toys, the pool lights, the pump, or a fence? The answer is C, the pump. You never want your pool to drain empty and have that pump running continuously because you will burn up a pump, and some of y'all have some very large pumps. So, what is the biggest benefit of an early leak detection? Stronger pool lights, quieter pumps, cost savings, or new decking? C, it is cost savings. Question six. What tool uses sound waves to locate leaks? A dye test, sonar, hammer, or a hose? Sonar it is. Sound waves. Which is more effective, proactive inspections or emergency repairs? Emergency repair, ignoring the issue, proactive inspections, or just replacing all the equipment? I think you guys got the hang of this. Proactive inspections. How can CAMs advocate for leak detections in their budgets? Mention it once, bring printed reports and examples, ignore cost savings, or say nothing. I like the mention it once idea. Bring printed reports and examples. If you can show people what it has cost them in the past, it will help them save for the future. What seasonal factor can reveal pool leaks? Holiday lighting, weather events, lifeguard rotations, or new umbrellas? That one's kind of a giveaway. It's weather events. And which of these is a CAM responsibility? Board elections, insurance fraud, maintenance planning, or plumbing installations? I'm a little disappointed. None of you believe that the responsibility is insurance fraud. I feel like that's the fun of being a CAM, right? Maintenance planning. I need to read these. Can't just hear it once. Do I need to slow down, Lisa? Lisa?
No, I think you're fine.
Okay. And then I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder, a couple of tips, again, as we kind of wrap this up. That was the last question. Um, when should you call a leak detection company? Something to keep in mind, whether it's residential or commercial. If you find that your pool is losing more than about an inch and a half a week, you probably have a leak. It's probably more than evaporation. If you guys find that your water bill is increasing on a regular basis, it's probably time to get that checked out and figure out what's going on. If you know you're planning for a renovation, it's a great idea. Again, nobody wants to find a leak on the backside of a renovation. And a lot of these companies, when they come out, they're not repiping everything. So if you have an existing leak that wasn't known about or wasn't shared with the renovation company, it probably won't get fixed, won't get caught during that renovation. So it's a great idea to do it prior to the renovation. Again, typically before peak season. If you want to schedule one as preventative maintenance before peak season, nobody wants to come downstairs and find that the pool has been closed. And kind of like the fiberglass gravity tank that I was talking about earlier, if your pool hasn't been checked in the last few years, it's a good recommendation to go ahead and get it checked because there could be a bunch of little things going on that nobody's aware of. And so if you haven't been checked in the last 1 to 2 years, it's probably a good indication that you should get a leak detection done. But could not see we got a comment here. I've been here since the legal update, but could not see instructions. Could,
Oh, yeah. So, guys, sorry, Will,
no, you're good.
I appreciate that you say you've been here, could not see the instructions. We put everything in the chat. Our link is on our website. We cannot provide the code word additional times. The name of the course is in the newsletter that you all got. So you can get the name of the course there. If you don't know it, I'll give the instructions for Will's here in a minute, but for the legal update, I mean, we gave it all during that time. I can't give it again. That defeats the purpose of giving it during the presentation so we know you're there. So sorry about that. Um,
Any questions?
okay. Any questions? You guys can put those in the chat for Will. So, Will, here's a question I'll have for you, and
Sure.
maybe you did cover partially, but I know a few pools that I managed in the past after the hurricanes when the seawall settled that caused some settling in the pool decks.
Yeah.
And those are some leaks that you wouldn't necessarily see because they are underneath, potentially in the pipes that are running to the pool equipment from the pool, etc.
Yeah.
And you all, what is your process for checking for those?
So typically when we come out, if there's a leak under the deck, so just about any leak detection company you call, there's 3 points of the inspection. Number one, it is the structure check, right? Swim the pool, tie a line to the bottom drain. That's going to find anything within the surface, kind of like the pictures that we saw at the very beginning. But the second part of just about any leak detection company is the plumbing test. And so they're doing one of two things. It's either a gravity test or a pressure test. Um, Both work very well. The pressure test tells you where that leak is. So all the plumbing should be checked when a leak detection company comes out. So if it's under the deck and tied to the pool, it would still be checked. And then it's just a matter of pinpointing exactly where that is using air and water. Does that make sense?
It does. All right, everybody. Any more questions? I did not say anything about the credit yet. That comes after at the very, very end. Any questions for Will before he departs? He wants to get out in that sun.
I do. I'm gonna go sit at the beach the rest of the day.
There you go. I love it. All right, Will. Well, thank you so much. Entertaining
Yeah.
as always. We appreciate it, and we will see you back here sometime next month.
Thank you so much.